The Black Ice Chronicles Massive. This is Crazy D. I'm standing here with Brother Keidi. How you doing today?
Oh, brother Crazy G, I'm doing absolutely great. What a pleasure it is being here once again at KCEP Studios with Brother Franklin. We had a great conversation, and it's a pleasure to be seeing you doing this thing. I really appreciate what you're doing.
Okay. Well, let's go to this. Since we're talking about consciousness and you are the guru on healthy foods to one, most importantly, eliminate the false claim of AIDS in people. Is that true?
Well, yeah, my research, I've been a vegan vegetarian for 40 years or so, and my research into the hoax of HIV/AIDS actually comes out another segment of my life. My father was a chemist, and I came right out of high school into biological research laboratory. So I've always tried to stay deeply connected with scientific research, peer review articles, and those type of things. And so ultimately, yes, it does come back to the food, the conscious eating, because these people who have been diagnosed with HIV, AIDS, diabetes, high blood pressure, cardiovascular disease, cancer, and a whole spectrum of other disorders, kidney failure, etc. Really, it comes back to this issue of conscious eating.
And being that we here on this conscious program are effectively connecting the dots between different movements, if it's Marcus Garvey, Booker T.
Mm-hmm.
Washington, W.E.B. Du Bois, right?
Mm-hmm.
And also being that you are in the lineage, I would say, of
Mm-hmm.
someone like Elijah Muhammad, who taught all of us how to eat to live.
He opened up the door to conscious eating for so many of us. And bless his eternal soul for not only opening up that door, but he created a movement that keeps birthing new advocates to take it to the next level. How to eat to live. Nobody had really ever said that within our community. Now we have taken it even further and even further. We have people in our generation like Dr. Aris Latham. Dr. Sabi has just made his transition. I and Dr. Sabi were very, very close for about 20 years. Not so much very close personally, but our systems were absolute parallel. So now that Dr. Sabi and Elijah Muhammad and Dick Gregory and these others have become ancestors, we're going to do the best we can to keep their spirit going alive. And we always remind ourselves and remind the young people as we reach for the stars, we must never forget that we stand upon the shoulders of giants.
You spoke on Franklin's show, Like It Is, and you spoke on what I call desert fever.
Mm.
Right, that's what it is,
Okay,
where you
that's
inhale
what they
it.
call
That's what it's been called.
it. Mm-hmm.
And you said that is one of the 26
Mm-hmm.
factors that they say that will test you as false positive
Well,
for
let me be
HIV.
real specific about what is the factual statement that the CDC classifies a full-blown case of AIDS when you have a positive test determination and one of 29 different diseases, one of which is desert fever, technically called coccidioidomycosis. So we're here in the desert. It's been tremendously windy this week, and this desert air picks up these spores, which can then get in our lungs and can then grow. And unfortunately, a lot of people are being encouraged now in the black community to get tested, get tested, get tested for HIV. This makes it far more likely that the outcome of that testing can destroy their lives.
Right. And also you spoke on Magic Johnson, and there
Mm-hmm.
was not a pushback from
Mm-hmm.
Franklin, but didn't Magic Johnson see Dr. Sabi?
I don't know, but I
I mean,
know.
that's what was rumored. I've hear a lot of other conscious
Right.
programs, and they allude to the fact that he might have met or he met with
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Sabi, and you said that he came from off the pills,
Right.
so he went on to another regiment.
And look at Magic Johnson today. He's a very beautiful, strong, healthy man with a beautiful, strong family. He's a parent, and that's, for most people diagnosed with HIV and AIDS, they don't get that chance. In fact, remember, Easy E was diagnosed at the same time as Magic Johnson. Magic Johnson has now lived 22 years plus later, And Easy E he died within 28 days. Of course, in my book, I did an investigation into the death of Easy E. And I contend Easy E was murdered. It took about 10 or 12 years for the family to start making that declaration in public. But Easy E actually died of morphine overdoses.
Because palliative care is having a family member who went through cancer, and palliative care is more like a Dr. Kevorkian, except for it's sanctioned by a hospital, but it's basically Dr. Kevorkian because they're putting you on this that will slip you away gradually.
Interesting that you should say that because during the investigation into Easy E's death, I was able to talk to a doctor who deals with advanced cases of HIV and AIDS. And I had found out that Easy E was being injected with morphine. And I asked him, I says, well, HIV/AIDS is an immune disorder. Why would a patient be being injected with morphine? And he looked rather puzzled and he says, well, the only reason we would use morphine on this patient is to prepare them for death.
Because that's what because they in the NWA movie they reference palliative care, and anyone who has a family member who went through passing over to the other side, who was in a palliative care situation, that's what happens. They drip, drip, drip you, and as you go along, you start to lose your faculties, and it is Dr. Kevorkian.
I do agree. You're making excellent points.
Okay, so now let's talk about AIDS and how we get people conscious. 3 steps on, because we're not going to go into the exact steps because I want people to get your book. But let's go and let's expand out from the book and let's look at the community, if we can call it that yet, the black community, as trying to get a collective and cooperative mind state. What are the top 3 aspirations or goals that we need to set to move people more towards a conscious level of thought process, so that thus they will be more receptive to people like you and others who have taught how to eat to live, so to speak, and who are coming up with the solution to what is something that that came from Carnegie.
Yeah, you mentioned about the population control paradigm. We talked about that on the program. The 1944 book, An American Dilemma, The Negro Problem in Modern Democracy, where in the book they openly stated, we read it on the air, that getting rid of us was their national goal. And they've been working on it now for over 70 years. There have been some very powerful people in our community who have been here to steer us on our own proper course. We have people like Dr. Nancy Turner Banks, who wrote the book, one of my favorite books on this topic, AIDS, Opium, Diamonds, and Empire, the dangerous epidemic of corporate greed. We have people like Dr. Sebi, who won his case in the Brooklyn State Supreme Court, that he advertised that, yes, I can cure AIDS and diabetes and sickle cell disease. And he won his case by providing the case studies. So they had to back off of oppressing him for saying the word cure. The AMA doesn't like people to use the word cure. Myself, and there are a number of others, Queen Afua is another one of our favorites, who are steering our people towards their destiny. But we still have to combat against the momentum of being in America, of eating like Americans.
So what are the 3 goals that we can aspire to uplift and open up the third eye of our people so they're more receptive to this? Because through food leads to the enlightenment of the mind.
It can open up all these new channels. So one, everything is about energy. The planet is about energy, the sun's energy. And we as people are about energy, and we do our best expressions of our human individual potential when we have the energy to do so. So for one, the best energy from food is from eating food that is alive. So that's what my brand is about, living superfood. Not only the food alive, but it's superfood, nutrient dense, like amazing. And you know, we can stay young forever. I'm proud of the fact that 62 years young, I can still perform things that I could do when I was half my age. And I'm aging at half the rate. So I'm going for my full 120. So beyond the energy, we have to realize we've been had. We've been misled. We've been bamboozled. They kidnapped us, took away our names, our language, took away our cultural traditions. They wouldn't even allow us to use our drums to inform our children that they belong to a cultural heritage. And we have to go back and recover the African presence in the world since the dawn of human civilization. And for those who haven't been paying attention, the 22nd century will see the rise of the most powerful empire the world has ever known. I call it the Great Swahili Empire. Other people call it Africa Rising. And most of us aren't even aware of that. But all the businesses are. China is aware of it. Europe, America's government's aware of it. The Barack Obama administration was aware of it. So one, we talked about recover our energy through natural living. Two, recover our identity through cultural and traditional practices. And number three, we have got to do a much better job of investing in pathways for our children, for our youngest generations. Right now, black people are in the middle early stages of the current holiday shopping season. During November and December 2016, we spent $58.1 billion above our normal average spending. This year is expected to top $62 billion. From Halloween through mid-January, $77 billion. But what are we getting? What's the return on that investment? We're getting a lot of stuff. And we can do better than that. We've got to formulate better plans. Right here in Las Vegas, a big debate about what's going to be done with these vacant lots in the black community. At the current rate and momentum, they're going to be gentrified, and we're going to be run out of this town.